afternoon, distinguished panel member. Thank you for agreeing to come to this special event. And all the honored guests and ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure that we are going to have this a very special forum this afternoon. I really appreciate all the panel members that agreed to come for this event. And the reason we organizing such an event is the following. We all know that education is critical to the economic prosperity of nations. It certainly also serves as the backbone for local communities. Today we are facing all these unprecedented economic, environmental, and social challenges. So education is even more critical today. Technological development and structural shift in the global economy means that majority of available jobs will require some form of college or even more advanced education today. And as routine work becomes increasingly automated, employers need workers with the skills necessary to handle complex and changing tasks and situations. However, we have probably recently learned, many people learned that many employers are not impressed with our recent college graduate. And they certainly complain that college graduates are not prepared to succeed in even the entry-level position at their companies. As a university educated, we also learned that we've been complaining that the school, university, probably not do a proper job to prepare our students to meet the challenge. However, on the other hand, we see increasing number of students not really satisfied the kind of education we provide at the university. Okay. I became the president of Donghua University last year. For the past year, I saw something, sadly to say that, I see more students decide to drop out of school. I don't know why, okay? But this is certainly a responsibility we have to face and to deal with. So we think about how to address all this issue. And this is the reason, the real reason we want to organize this, because we like to hear from this eminent panel member. And they can tell us their experience and their view and how a successful person can be cultivated. And certainly how one can develop the skill to meet the challenge of the 21st century. Okay, so that's the whole purpose of this event. Okay, we'll start off by Laura. Okay, lady always first, right?
Am I on? Can you hear me? Well, you have a handout, and I thought I would follow the slides, and I'll ask also for your participation. So what I wanted to point out in the beginning was that single subject majors are dated, and that to address the problems that we're going to have in the 21st century, we need to really collaborate over a wide range of fields. If we want to talk about security of our data in the cloud and not losing it, climate change, energy, we're going to have to understand to work with and communicate with and create with people in a wide variety of areas. One thing that we want to do, you have this circle here. And what this is a bunch of different fields of study. And whether you're going between biological and artificial intelligence and materials and devices, or networks, or smart energy, these are now, in most universities, separate areas of study. And we have to act like engineers and build bridges between these different areas. And it takes more than just studies to do that. I think culturally, in order to work with people in very different or disparate areas, we have to learn to communicate with them on a variety of levels. So besides learning how to write and present, we also have to socialize and talk with different people. For instance, I work with chemists a lot. My background is physics. And to work with chemists, even though from a distance it seems like a very close science, we still have a very different language. And when we start out, we look like these animals that are butting their heads together. And then after a while, we kind of don't communicate, we stop fighting. But then after a while, if we communicate on different levels, we'll find some area of overlap, whether it's you both like to talk about symmetry groups, or you like a certain kind of music or sport. You find an area of overlap, and from there you can grow your collaboration. I've worked with the biologist in a very different area, and the reason I work so well with her is because we were friends for so many years, and we've had a lot of success in studying together. In the universities, one of the places you build these bridges is just through student life. So that's these pictures here, whether it's a music club, a sports club, an acting club. This becomes very, very important. And I just have some questions for you. How many of you have been involved in sports teams? Okay, not that many. In the US, everybody would have raised their hand. Even if it's like jacks or something simple. And I list some other things here. So what about marching band, orchestra, choir, theater, debate team? Remember, communication is everything. You can learn from books, but that's already known. If you want to reach out into new and innovative areas and create whole new areas of science and technology and understanding, you're going to have to reach out more than just your book. That's what my statement here. In fact, people worry that we're communicating less because everybody texts. And my son is a college student, and he's so frustrated by this because you can tell, I think, communication is important. When he went to college, he felt that nobody talked. So he's starting a club. And the club is getting together and just talking. Not just necessarily a book club, but just communicating about life in general. And it's been very successful. So, one thing that I asked a question here, what do you do on your weekends or breaks? Many students just say, well, they study, they catch up, and they sleep, and then they study, and if they don't get straight A's, they're in trouble. And what I submit to you is the straight A's might be important, but not in every subject, because when you get straight A's, you're learning what's already been done. What your charge is to help us out in creating a better world, whether it's through science, psychology, sociology. All that stuff is important, and everything is going so fast and changing so quickly. If all you do is your homework and get straight A's, you will be left behind, and we need you. We need you out there. So you need to broaden your horizons, and this T picture here is not the first time this has been written, but it's the way I lead my life, in many ways, my philosophy, and that is I try to be one of the best experts in the world, maybe not compared to these guys, but in superconductivity and how electrons in materials communicate with each other. Communication again. It turns out in the kind of materials that I study, the electrons can be in contact, they would call it correlated with each other over long distances in time. Very strange. And so that's what I study, and I read papers, and I spend a lot of time alone trying to study that. But I also spend a lot of time doing the horizontal part of the T, okay? And that's just not talking to chemists, but that's talking to people that are engineers and biologists. And going further than that, if we're going to work on our global energy challenge, in some of the centers that I'm working in, we need to understand philosophy and psychology and sociology. So I think to really be innovative and transdisciplinary, creating new disciplines from the old, you need the basis and you need the breadth. And as you reach out in the breadth and you gather information, you bring it back down again and reprocess it in your language and bring it up and communicate. And I think that is what I've seen, at least in my life, has been the basis for my successes and things that I've discovered. Finally, I have a couple of statements here. This is Albert Einstein laughing about J. Robert Oppenheimer, a famous physicist, because he always made jokes. And Einstein played the violin. And this other guy here is Richard Feynman, another Nobel Prize winner, who played bongos. And so if you're going to be successful in your work, you have to love it. You have to be passionate about it. This last URL here, which I didn't know they were going to hand it out, is our physics department got together and did a Gangnam Style video. And that helps, right? You hang out with these guys, you dance, you sing, and you get new ideas. And I promise you, new science came out of that Gangnam video. So thank you very much for your time.
Today I'd like to talk about education, college education in Taiwan a little bit. We have several fundamental problems in Taiwan. First one, there is a mismatch of expectations. In 1990, about 20 years ago, there were only 600,000 college students at that time. 600,000 young men, women that were college students at that time. Now, they're about 1.3 billion, more than double the number of 20 years ago. 20 years ago, the parents all thought that a college education for their children was a permanent meal ticket. Anybody that graduated from college would have a good job and would have a good life. And therefore, they try very hard to send their kids to college. So more people are going to college now. And college education is no longer a permanent meal ticket. So that's the first problem. And young people getting out of college couldn't get a job, they're getting disillusioned. The second problem we have is that we have a mismatch of skills. There are many jobs waiting, but there are fewer applicants that really have these skills. In the last 20 years, I think Taiwan has very much neglected trade education, trade training, trade schools. All right, and the third problem we have, we really don't have good colleges to develop future leaders. Now, I want to concentrate on that point, the point of a good school to develop leaders. I think it's a liberal arts college. I think a good school to develop leaders is a